Hey, how's everyone doing? Happy Sunday. Happy to everyone. This is we're on the Mike Gilcreast show, another venturing episode. You never know what to expect, never know what to say, never know questions going to be asked, but be expecting because we got some good news here for you today. And as always, we just finished up the series, top 5 reasons people get divorced, relationships, in divorce is communication. That's probably at the top of the list. Finances, sex, religion, and family, all right, in-laws and that stuff, all right? So we're here, discussing this next topic. I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to embark upon this one? But we're here nevertheless, and got to figure out which is better. Is it better to be single or to be married? All right, which is better, single or married? Single or married? Single or married? I was giving some thoughts, and it is what it is, and I got some stuff to throw at you, and so we'll see how it's going to flow, and and see what happens and stuff. But we'll talk about this for a little bit, and see what happens. But yes, it's Sunday, and hopefully everyone had a great Sunday. I did as well, doing our church thing and inviting people to church. I met a young lady today at the store, and her name was Melody as well. So I'm giving Melody a shout out too, just in case she's online checking our show out and stuff. So, but yeah, I give Melody a shout out. Shout out to Linda, favorite sister-in-law, from Mike and Mel. Yes, hey, go Linda. I know she hopefully feeling better. So praise God for that. I'm getting better, all the way around, and a lot of my swelling's gone down. So I'm getting around and trying to get ready for this next knee surgery. I really don't want it, but I tried so many things over the years, and thought, it's going to heal itself, and they come up with better procedures because I didn't want to go through knee surgery. And now I'm here. I'm trying to champion it and get through it and be done with it and whatever, but it is a pain in the neck. People say it's easy. No, knee surgery is a pain in the neck. There's physical therapy, the interruptions, the appointments, and this and that. And, I want life to go on. I wish I just had normal knees the rest of my life. I went in the military and doing running and this and that and exercising, kind of overworked my knees and stuff a little bit. I'm 24 years in the military, 30 years Pentagon. So I've done my time and done my runs and done a lot of things that you wear and tear on your body and stuff, but able to forge ahead and keep it going. All right. So yeah, I'm a military veteran, and we have Veterans Day coming up. But we'll talk about, which is better, marriage, and please answer as questions and stuff. But marriage or being single, because we're going to talk about both ways, and I'll tell you, I got a lot to say on both, because I have fun being single, I have fun being married, and then I've been bad being married and wish I was single. So, oh boy. It's a tough, but we got a lot to talk about. Yeah, so and I was thinking about this. I said, you know what? I think for the most part, people can't make up their mind. They can't make they don't know. Some people is like, they're so unfortunate in bad relationship. They're like, if it happens, it happens. You can't go in that mindset. If it happens, it happens. You can go to the store and pick up anything you want from the store. You have a list, maybe, you know exactly what you want, but you always gotta know what you want. It's no happenstance and just you mix up a little bowl and it's what you get. No, no, you never know what you're going to get. Yeah, when you go in any relationship, you never know. You got married people wishing they were single. You got single people wishing they were married, and then you got people that I don't know. And whatever happens, whatever, but it's not true because you got all kinds of people out there. And relationships, I'm telling you, that is not what you think, it's not what you expect. It's always at some point for some people, it's a disappointment. And we have a list of what, excuse me, we have a list of what we think we want. I want this. You cannot treat relationships like a piece of pie or a dress or a car. You can't be spoiled going into a relationship. You can't pout your way. You know how you fold your arms up and pout your way. Uh, well, um, it didn't work. It this and that. I want it my way. You can't go in relationships wanting it your way. All right, it's not Burger King. All right, and so you can, even Burger King don't give you everything you want. I don't do Burger King, but back in the day, you used to have it your way. But so you ask for certain things, like, nope, we can't do that. Nope, we can't do that. Everything is not have it your way. You can't just do what you want and do, have it your way and go from there. No, it doesn't work. Will not work. And if you're spoiled, I think spoiled people get taken advantage of more in relationship because you want to have your way, but it's give and take. But you have your way, but you gotta give. And a lot of times it may not be what you want to give. So you can't have your way. You gotta be like grounded when you go in a relationship and know I discussed boundaries a couple series back, and you gotta discuss boundaries and know what your boundaries are. Because if you don't know what your boundaries are, you'll be swindled away and you'll be like, what happened? I don't know how I did this. I don't know how now I'm pregnant. I didn't want to get pregnant. And I wanted to get married first. A lot of people are in relationships and they're disappointed. I'm telling you straight up. They're in some type of relationship and they're disappointed. It is not what they wanted. And it didn't go how they had planned, and it didn't work out. And they're in that relationship. And then time went on. And 2, 3, 4 years later, they in that relationship and they're not happy. And so they're single in a relationship and not happy. But guess what? People are married in a relationship, in marriage, and they're not happy. Oh my God. So where's the win? How do you win? Say, I'm a champion. How do you win in relationship when no matter which one you choose, you could end up, not for all people, but you could end up being unhappy? Where's the win? We don't want to be single. And then we got this age thing. I'm getting older and I don't want to stay by myself. But then we get the first guy walking in a pair of pants. And then we like, that's my guy. That's going to be my husband. But what if he don't want to be your husband? You know? What if he want to be friends with benefits? It's so many relationships out there and they're just friends with benefits. That's it. Why would you have a relationship like that? To me, that's a lose-lose. You give up your body, you don't know what you expect, you may end up getting pregnant. It's a chance of getting pregnant. And then you're stuck on what you thought should have happened, but didn't. You're stuck. And so what do you do about that? You're stuck in a relationship. You got pregnant by somebody you're not even in love with. You know, it happens. I'll tell you, I I hate to say it because it sounds mean and sexist and whatever, but that happened to me. I ended up getting someone pregnant twice, and I was nowhere close to in love. Seriously. And that happens to I'm speaking of me as one scenario, but multiple people. Mine's you got to read in my book, and but yeah, it happened for me. Excuse me. I'm just fortunate that I was fortunate enough not to have multiple kids out there in my single life. And my separated life, because if if you're separated from marriage, they actually consider you single. And but in the eyes of God, you're still married, just so you know. But they consider you single. So I was in that state too. I was married, separated, and single. And every encounter I had, I was committing adultery. And so it is what it is. So I'm just saying, I'm not the only one. All the people that was on Ashley Madison's and the secret society and having affairs outside their marriage. I mean, it's millions of people and I hate to say that, but they're having affairs, and they're cheating. People love cheating for some reason. And it's the suspense of it, not getting caught. And the thing is, for me, um, I think that's sour, really. Because I was sharing ideas with another guy and talking about how I don't want to share. I'm not into that sharing stuff. And people do it. I'm sure I've been the other guy in some cases, but you I think you can lose too much by just sharing. But is it better to be married or single? People, if you want to wait till you believe God, if you're a Christian, you believe in God, if you want to wait, you can wait until God align you to cross paths with somebody that it may work out for you. You want to cross paths, and then and you want to trust the God factor. I think, it's probably the best to trust God to put someone in your path. I'll tell you why. Because yeah, I think God will give you options and not just an option, and anyone you pick and when God's involved, I think it's going to work out for you. But you don't know how it's going to work out within the relationship if you believe it's God. When God put you together, you can't be like, God put us together, but we're shacking up. We're having sex. We do that ain't God. God didn't do that. All right. God's not going to go against his own word and let you hook up with somebody. And then, it's not going to work out for you. That's not, so when people do that and say, God sent you to me and we, people online talking about, I want God to send somebody and I'm tired of being lonely. I don't think it works like that. I don't think women should be begging to be in a relationship with a guy. I don't, when women advertise themselves and I'm single or I just got divorced or they do a social media ad, they show their body. I think those type women, even if they aren't, I think they're cheap because they sell themselves cheap. Dudes don't want that. When you got to advertise yourself to a point where you're trying to get attention, if you all that, you're going to get your attention. If you got it together, you're going to get your attention. You don't need to exploit yourself because that way to me, you show yourself for being cheap. So be single or be cheap or whatever. But I think you should go to school, work your job, do what you're supposed to do, live your life, and let nature happen for you. Let that guy come to you and approach you the right way. Thing is, we want guys that approach us out in the street. I want him because he's cute. But what if he got AIDS? What if he's gay? What if he only wants your children? So that's why God, for me, and I'm not preaching to you. I'm a pastor, but I'm not preaching. You got to let God line up. When I was single, separated, all kinds of stuff, I was praying for a wife. Seriously. I was married and still praying for a wife because I'm like, I knew I was getting a divorce, right? And so I was still praying for a wife. I wasn't in church, and that's the caveat because you're like, man, you're talking about God, but how you praying for somebody and you married? I wasn't in church, and I wasn't getting in church as long as I was married to her, for real. Because I know once you get in church, we don't believe in divorce, da da da. And I was never going to get in church and marry her because I knew I had no chance of having a full life with her. I had no chance, you know, because I cheated and then I cheated again, and you know, then you go through that whole spiel because she was not the forgiving type. Because she, you know, my ex, you know, ex-wife, she was type, I'm getting you back. And so I, you know, I didn't want that life. I didn't want that, you know, payback thing. So I knew I was not going to get back with her. I knew that was done. All right. And but I wanted to be married. I'm telling you, wholeheartedly right hand to God, right? And I wanted to be married. And I knew not only wanted to be married, but I had to be married. I have to be married because the single life doesn't work for me, you know, and I never want to be single, and it just doesn't work for me. I have to be married because I'm better, I'm stronger, I'm smarter, I'm wiser, I make better choices, I'm more experienced. I mean, just my whole life is just better being married. I'm serious. I could excel more, and on top of that, I love being a husband, a real husband. I love the family environment and magnitude and share your life with someone. I love that. You know, but at times I didn't know that's who I would become down the line. I didn't know that's where I was gonna be. I didn't know, seriously. I was chasing women. I didn't know how that I was gonna I wanted to settle down. I wanted to be married. I didn't know that. But through my life experience, I didn't like being single because the game, oh my God, the game is just it's treacherous. The game and the beautiful women left and right. And it's like, you know, and half the women I knew, I never wanted them to be a wife to me. Seriously, a wife for me. Never, never, never. I didn't want that. But I was out there trying to figure out life and I didn't know much. You know, I knew I was handsome enough to get a woman and this, that, and other, but what is that? That was nothing. It was nothing. I wasn't accomplishing anything. I wasn't at my best. I didn't have to be. I was cool and that worked for some people, but you know, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not where I wanted to be at. You know, and so we have to decide as single people, married people, what we're gonna do. And so I've been on all three sides. I've been single, I've been married, I've been infidelity. So I had relationships outside of marriage, and then I've been married. So I didn't single, married, cheating, and married and no cheating. And so the only relationship that I've ever been in, I tell people, my wife that I'm currently married to now, and this year it'd be 32 years, right? I've never cheated on her. And so never had an affair with another woman. Nobody can come and say this, that, and other, you know. But I knew I wanted to be married. So that was important to me. That's why I'm successful at it, because I knew I wanted it. But I didn't want it until I got with her. Isn't that amazing? Sometimes we match up with people. I'll tell you, and it's not who we really want to be with. It's not you're not going to settle down and take less and go through a bunch of stuff and with an individual and you know and you have no marriage there and no marriage is in the horizon of it. So you're in and a lot of people are here. What I'm saying, they're there. They're in relationships and they know they don't want to get married. I do not want to marry that joker. I do not marry that broad or that woman. That I you know, wholeheartedly, you know you do not want to be married to them. You know it. It ain't no marriage happen. But my question is that perplexes me, right? Is why do you stay in a relationship and you know you don't want to marry them? You're single. Why not be single? I look at people and I looked at women who help guys get on their feet and stuff, and then they get hurt because the guy didn't act right, and they can't even move forward. They're stuck in that relationship, and their single life is messed up for potential people to come in their life and they can be happy with someone. It's jacked up because they gave all in a single relationship, and the guy was not the guy for them. We meet all kinds of people. And I'm telling you, women are hurting. You got women out there who would never get married, never believe in love because they've been hurt on their single life because they thought that guy was it. The thing is, we do too much in relationship. We do too much too fast. All right. Well, the main difference between a single person and And a married person is a single person is only responsible for yourself, and a married person is responsible for others. I want to be responsible for others. I'm a natural born leader. So whether it's in my marriage or whether I'm running a business or whatever, I want to be responsible for others. I think that's important. I have the ability to want to give back. So that's where I'm at. That's what I want to do. But to be single and stuff like that, I could still, be single and then have the business mind. But that's separate. I'm not talking about that. But I know I wanted to share my life. I didn't want to just, keep trying to figure it out. Because I'll tell you, I tell my wife, we talk about it. I do not want to date in 2026, 5, 4, 3, 27. I do not want to date in this environment. No way, no way, no how. I do not want to be single in this environment. For one, it'll be absolutely hard for me. And not only hard, it'll be horrible. It'll be terrible because, to be able to make up your mind and say, I don't do this all over again after being married for 30 plus years. No. You know what I mean? And so I don't want to date in this environment. And the way the segments are today and AI, social media, all the stuff you got to do, you got to research and stuff. I do not. And people live together. And if you can't figure out marriage from living together, you're in trouble. Because I'll tell you, when I was living with people, marriage was still on my mind. Seriously. I still wanted to be married. I did not want to be that shacking up life. Because truth be told, I'm not going to be honest. I am not. I mean, and now in the state now, you're a pastor, but I'm saying this if I was single and not a pastor, or married, or single, living with somebody and not a pastor. No, I can't do that. As a pastor, I think it'll be terribly hard to be a pastor and be single. Seriously. Can it be done? Well, it have to be done if you're supposed to be a real person of God, right? So it has to be done. But the torment that you have to go through, oh my God, ah, I don't even want to imagine it. And so I don't want to, that oh, trial, them tests to be afflicted upon me, in that situation. I don't want it. Could I handle? I'm sure I could, but I don't want it because everything would be tempting for me. So temptation, I'll be like, Lord, help me with this temptation. I don't want to go through that. Because women, I'll tell you, y'all beautiful, y'all got it going on. So be it, right? But the thing is, it's just the backlash, the after effects. eh, It's like not worth it. The challenges you go through, it's like not worth it. And so you got to look at your life and say, what do you want? Without being spoiled, without being selfish, without undermining the other person. You got to go into this thing with an open mind. And then you got to be like, you know, uh, on, 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 on your best behavior. And then you got to watch things and make sure guys ain't trying, for women that's out there single dating. I think it's the worst for women because some guys are awesome. And then, when you get in one place, then they're like, oh, they're not awesome. They're rapists, they're this, they're that. And you know, and then everybody wants to, let's go get a drink. Let's go get a drink. I mean, you're not even gonna be in your right mind, to talk and stuff like that. So you're not going to get a drink or something like that. That doesn't help the relationship. Let's go get drinks. Let's go out to the club. Let's go out to dinner and have some wine. I'll tell you, if I want to get to know you, I want your mind to be solely on me. I don't want you distracted. If you gotta be high to talk to me, you're not the one. I'm going to dismiss you. Seriously. Because I think I bring a lot to the table. I think wholeheartedly, and I want your undivided attention. 'Cause this is our lives. I'm gonna not. I don't drink anyway, but some people got to get high and stuff. They chilling and it's not so serious. This, that, another. When when you start to the format of dating or in the courting to be married, you want that other person's undivided attention to answer every explicit question you may have that would go forward in that relationship. Then you have to test it. You can't just take their word for it. You have to test it to see what that, because the person you meet is not the person you marry. Even as friends, you're gonna be friends and dating. That person you meet is not the same friend you're gonna be with and understand down the line. People, when you first meet them, they always send a representative, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? They send the person that you like, they doing everything right. Everything right, everything. Oh my God, he's such a gentleman. People don't act like that. You got to go through some changes. Can you still be a gentleman after we just had an argument? Can you still be a gentleman after, you lost your best friend? And so we never tried. We always send our representative, and you're like, oh, he's so happy. Then like the woman we had on the show, they was 16, she's pregnant and got married, and the wedding night, she got beat down. You never know what you're going to expect. Once you get that person get you home. Some people be like, oh my God, this woman, she the best thing since ice water. And then you marry, you get her home, and then she taking off her teeth. She taking off her what do you call it, padded bra. She taking off her fake. You're like, "Eh, eh, this ain't what I married." So you want to be at a place with a person when you meet them, and they're real. You know what I mean? They're real. A lot of people we meet, like I said, they send a representative and they're not real. And you're like, what in the world happened? You know what I mean? There's a lot to go in being single versus being married. People don't know how to date. I'm serious. And people, oh, I looked at their social media. Social media is only sending representative. Unless they just buff wild and crazy. So that's a good way to see it. If you would see everybody, the woman you trying to date and she twerking on there, they ain't the one you want to look at to be your wife. All right. Because you don't know how many DMs she done messaged and they done talked and hooked up and this and that. I tell you, women sell themselves short to be twerking and, show themselves this, that, and other. And guys, when you have a bunch of women on social media and you're dating this one, this one, I mean, women, I just heard so many horror stories of people dating and it didn't turn out. Even some women paying flights, going across America to other states, 2, 3, 4,000 miles away, and only to find out the dude only wanted you for a booty call. You know what I mean? Y'all gotta figure it out. You're married and you're not happy. Every relationship you get into, you gotta figure it out. It's no one rule catch all. I'm married and everything supposed to happen and is hunky dory, is jolly fun all the time. That's not how it works. That's not how marriage is supposed to work. You got to go in this mindset. I'm in it to win it, and we could get through anything. If you don't have that mindset, forget marriage. For real. Marriage is when you stuck in your ways, marriage is hard. When God's not in your life, marriage is terribly hard. Seriously. And we make it harder because we're not prepared to expect from another person. And then on top of all that, we're not flexible. We don't know how to be flexible. You have to be flexible in a relationship, any relationship, but more so when you're married. You're going to be disappointed, but you got to be able to work through that and with a good esteem. You can't be everything down and out. Every time playing something that goes haywire, it never works out. I'm mad. I don't want to sleep with you. I don't want this. I want that. And we're spoiled. That's why I say we're spoiled. We go through all this stuff and we're not understanding what marriage is. We get in a relationship. Yes, you're female, you have female parts. He's a male, he has male parts. And then you get together and you're like, what am I doing? And time went by, and then before you know it, a month that went by, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, and you're like, what are we doing? You ever ask yourself that? You ever ask yourself, what are we doing? Yeah, really. He's cute. The cute phase gonna wear out. Attraction to somebody that's nice. That's nice. It's gonna wear off. It's gonna wear off. The cute face, I'm telling you. It's gonna wear off like on the real. Beauty skin deep, but when you start bringing issues and problems and stuff, like he got curly hair and she got, oh my God, you see her bangs and her eyelashes. And then women don't know how to dress. They don't know how to, test what the guys like and stuff. You gotta test things out. And we don't do that. We just go and show them. Let me show my belly because I did. Your belly's sexy. It can be really sexy to somebody. You don't want them to look at you for sex. You want them to look at you because they're interested in you. And we think wearing belly shirts, that's attractive. I'm wearing my belly shirt. And on a guy's mind, and I don't care how nice and y'all just friends or whatever, that's sexy. Seriously. And if you think it's not, then wonder why so many look up how many date rapes happen. It's so sexy. I can wear short shorts and do what I want. When you're trying to date, you got to see who you're trying to marry. Some dudes get their woman home, smack them around, say, take your clothes off, get in the bed, shut up. And tell you, if America pick up the laws that they have over in Nigeria, if a woman tell her husband that she is not having sex with him, she gets arrested. So it's just a matter of time for that America, especially with Trump in office. It's just a matter of time for that law gets here, and women gonna be like, oh my God. So it's like to be married, you're gonna be like a slave, or it's like a death sentence. Cause like, oh, I can't tell him no. That's why you got to know who you marrying. You got to know if you in another country and you tell your husband no. You in Dubai. Dubai's one women can't be outspoken. If a woman arguing with her husband in Dubai, she could be arrested. And we got to understand some culture. We in America, we a little spoiled, but just think if the laws change, what you gonna do? You got 9-year-old girls getting married now over in under some Muslim type countries. Think it's Iran or something. They changed the law from 18 to 9. What a 9-year-old knows about getting married? But I'm telling you, the rules is changing. And then I'm shacking up. What if they pass a law saying you can no longer shack up? Then you'll pretend yourself roommates, and then what if the other person get pregnant? Now you could be fined. I mean, I'm telling you, they making some crazy laws. You know, and then some guys be like, forget getting married. I'm just going to be single and sleep from here to here, and then all these women get messed up, and then they in relationships think the guy gonna marry him, he don't marry him, and then you're stuck. Had sex several times, and nobody wants to be with you, and now you're 30, 40, 50, and nobody wants to marry you. Then what you do? Well, I had fun when back in the day. All you guys are memory. A memory and nobody represent, because everybody you was with that moved on with their lives. Some are married and moved on and making their money, and you only wish you coulda, shoulda, woulda. That's the size of that. Women go off reputation. I've been with such and such. He was a millionaire. I've been with such and such. He was an engineer. I've been with such and such. He was a pilot. I always ask them, I say, where they at now? Where they at now? Why didn't you marry him? If you could get a person, you could keep them. So why didn't you marry him? All the people that you said you could have, your resume as long as a front door. And you'd be like, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. The thing is, most guys could have got married and this, that, and other, and something didn't work out, whatever. Guys don't have it like women. Women give up the goods, and then they're like, I coulda, shoulda been married. The rules don't work the same for guys and women. It doesn't work the same. I don't care how you look at it. And I'm not being chauvinistic. It just, the rules don't work the same. Women, you can't give up nothing. You single, stay single until somebody put a ring on it. Even Beyonce is smart enough to sing a song to say, put a ring on it. All right. She married to a billionaire. Women take they get guys that they can't even pay the light bill. I'm with Joe. He can't pay the light bill, but I'm with Joe. What are y'all doing? Me and Joe gonna get married, and y'all can't buy toothpaste if you put your money together. That's bad. That's not relationship. And the thing is, people like, Look at your career field. Nurses, nurses have bad reputations. And everybody wants to have sex because they're beautiful. They're beautiful and they look like they clean this, that, and the other. But nurses got a bad reputation as far as relationships, and so you got to look at that too. You got, some people pick up people from strip joints, from Hooters, from all these different clubs and bars and strip joints. I mean, I said that, but I'm like, don't nobody want no cat call like that. Who wants a wife like that? And all she knows is the pole. You know, I, you got some beautiful. I used to go to places very seldom, but I've been to places like there's some beautiful women there, but they're broken. And then on top of all that of trying to get a relationship together, you got all this internal messes going on in people's mind. They've been broken, they've been molested, they've been incest. I mean, it's just a lot. And so you really got to know what you're getting involved with. And you got to know, if you're single, what you bring to the table. There's some women out there, I'm telling you, they're broken. And I'll tell you, I tell my wife, I say, I'm so glad I'm married. I do not want to date in this climate. So I'm serious. I do not want to date because nobody knows what they want. Nobody knows what they're going to do, how they going to get to the next level. People don't even know how to problem solve. I'll tell you, they get mad, they get upset, and then they begin to make up, and then they never fix what made them mad. They never fixed it. And then next time it goes on, it gets bigger and bigger and metastasized. And it's like, oh my God, it's like cancer then took off in my marriage. Cancer and took off my relationship. It metastasized, and you're like, oh my God, it only gets worse if you don't fix it. Whenever you got a problem, if you don't learn how to problem solve, you're going to have problems. And if you take a relationship from being single to married and you don't know how to problem solve, when you get married, you're still not going to be able to problem solve. You're still not going to be able to get together. You're still going to be stuck. All right. And then you'll do it so long, you say, I think we need to go our separate ways. Now you done messed up 5 years of your life when you knew in the beginning that wasn't the guy you wanted to be with, or that wasn't the woman you wanted to be with. You knew in the beginning, and yet you stayed. That don't make sense. People getting ready to say, and then when you get married, like, I want to be single. When you're single, I want to get married. And we're fickle. We can't even make up our minds. And to get a relationship that works, oh my God. Oh my God. But that's few and far between. It's hard to find good relationships. Like I told you, one of the couples I looked up to all the time was Will and Jada Smith, Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. I thought they was the best. I used to talk about them. They the best. I did not know all the stuff was happening internally in their relationship, because what they presented to the public, I'm like, they got an awesome thing. I didn't know they was both going two different opposite ways. And then that junk spill off to the kids, and you wonder, what happened to my kids? I'm telling you, I looked up to Will and Jada Smith. I'm serious. I looked up to them. And only with time, I was so disappointed. So disappointed. I'm like, wow. And I'm so glad that my relationship wasn't established at them. I just looked at them as respectable couple. I love to see respectable couples, and I love marriage. The institution of marriage, I think is splendid, if we learn how to do it. I knew I was going to get married. I knew I was going to be able to do it right. And I didn't know I was going to get the kind of woman I have today. I didn't know she was going to be committed to relationship, to God. I didn't know that, but I was looking for that. You see what I'm saying? And I wanted somebody that's going to be connected to God, that I could connect with her on an interpersonal level. And I'm like, wow, we could go with it. And now people tell us that we want a relationship like you, but it doesn't happen. I was a mess. I was a project, and she'll tell you when we started dating, I was a project. Being single, I was going through a divorce and this and that and the other, and women everywhere. I was a project, and she thought long enough to me to roll up her sleeves, put her hair in a ponytail, and say, "I'm going to work with this guy." She saw so much potential in me. Women, you got to know what you're marrying, knowing what you want to marry, knowing who you want to be in a relationship with. Women, I'm telling you, it's your job to make that person, make that person advantageous for you or not. It's up to you. Women, you are the key. I tell women, if y'all listen to a lot of my shows, I say, women, y'all got so much power. I tell y'all that I lift you up. And then the stupid things you do doesn't make sense. All the power you have. And you give it away because he cute, because he got a cute butt. You open your legs and have sex with different people because he cute. I'll tell you, cuteness never paid bills. He's cute. Oh my God. Oh, gee whiz. Lord have mercy, Jesus. He's cute. Women, I'm telling you, y'all want people to wearing their pants off their butt, earrings all over, tattoos over there. Yeah, you want your kid to grow up and say, "Oh, and let's be like dad. Let's get tattoos all over your face. Let's get something on your ears, your face, your neck, and stuff." And you look over time, it looks a mess. If you ever stand back and just look at tattoos, you'd be like, "Wow!" And then they find it out that people are getting cancer from the ink, the mercury, and all kinds of stuff that's in the ink. They're from the tattoos. Yeah, I don't know if y'all heard that, but yes. You know what I mean? I have zero tattoos and plan to get zero tattoos. I mean, you're not messing up my skin and possibly give me a blood disease. I don't want it. Ain't no tattoo cute enough for me. And then when you get it, who cares? People like, I got a tattoo on my arm. What if you lose your arm? Now you done wasted money because the arm's gone. Doesn't make sense. The stuff we do, it adds up to nothing. Only what you do for God lasts. That's why relationships should be built upon having a relationship in church. I'll tell you, that's the only thing that works for me. Having a relationship in church. I'm telling you, when I didn't have a relationship in church, I was a mess. I was a mess. I had no standards, nothing. I didn't care about nothing. But I learned love. I learned how to love myself when I got myself in church. You know, I'm telling you, I want to be accountable. You know, and so there's a marriage rule, right? And I don't know how it's no one way to do marriage, right? But they got a marriage rule out there, right? It's called the 777 rule. Have y'all heard that? You know, being married. I mean, they make up rules. It's a 3 date rule. After 3 dates, we kiss. People kiss on the first day. So I'm like, that, that just say you easy. I don't get women don't y'all got so much power, you give it up. Because I'm gonna lose him if I don't kiss him. I'm gonna lose him if no, as long as you could still talk this, that, another, he interested in you, interested in him, it'll build. You got to see what your value is. You got to see the power that you have. And you start kissing and stuff like that. Kissing leads to the next base, the next base, next place. And then all of a sudden, I'm with such and such, and then time, give it time, they start phasing away from you, phasing away, start making excuses. And you're like, Joe don't want to be with me anymore. Joe not interested in me anymore. Am I not good enough for him? All this stuff goes in your mind. Does he have someone else? You know, because you gave up too much too fast. I know what I'm talking about. I'm an expert. I like to consider myself, right? I'm an expert. Women, y'all got to stop having sex. Stop kissing. Don't have no rules for dating, a 3 date rule, and then he kiss you. And then the next date within a month, now he's in bed with you. People are in the bed with people in less than a week. They're in the bed. And then the girls tell their mom, we're not doing nothing. We're not having no sex. We're not doing nothing. And they lying. All right? They're lying because children going to lie to their parents because they don't want them parents to be disappointed. But they having sex. All right? They're having sex. And I'm just breaking it down for you. They're having sex. Because when kids lie, oh no, until if they did it back like in the old days. Remember the old days? If y'all know the Bible, and when a virgin got with her husband in the old days, the women stayed outside the door and they were waiting. After they consummate the marriage, they had the sex and stuff. They put the sheet outside the door to see the blood stain so they know the hymen was broken at that time. It was so special to understand that the hymen was not broken until the night of marriage, where the marriage was consummated. Seriously. You know, it was a big deal. I don't know why it's not a big deal today. You know, women like, oh no, mom, I'm not doing nothing. They're lying. These girls lie. I talk to young women all the time, and they tell me they having sex under 30 days, under 2 weeks. You see what I'm saying? And these girls, I talk to young girls like 20 years old. And I don't care. Women, bomb moms, talking about, oh, I know my daughter. I know my daughter wouldn't do that. And it's not true. But yet, you got young parents and other parents. They giving their kids birth control. Here's some birth control. Here, son, take some jimmies or strippers or what do you call them, rubbers. You know, we encourage that versus saying, you know what, why don't you wait till you get married? What's wrong with telling people wait till you get married? Married people don't want to be married, single people trying to be married, and then they want to practice it until they get married. It doesn't make sense. And then you get married, and now you might end up in one of the sisters out of, more than 50% of marriages don't last. You got a 1 in 2 chance of a marriage lasting. And so if you don't put your best foot forward, you have nothing to say it's going to, last a long time. It's no insurance. It's no securities to say that your marriage is going to last a long time. Nothing out there, nothing what you do to say is going to last. Whether you have a 7-day rule, a 7-7-7, 3-day rule, 3-on-3, and so the 7-7 rule for marriage, I was going to give y'all that and I didn't. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, the 7-7 rule in marriage is a guideline. And I'm telling you, it's no rules. I don't have that. I would never go by this, but I'm saying, so some people, they need a rule, right? Date every 7 days, like once a week, go out and on a date. Me and my wife don't need that. We got our life together. A weekend getaway every 7 weeks. If you don't have money, you could go broke. So, but as they say, and every 7 months, take a vacation or extend the vacations that you take, and so that's like 7-7 rule. Some people need that. And to me, it's too shallow because it's based on a rule, but your circumstances, your finances might not add up to that. And so me and my wife, we could go take a vacation next week if we want, but our situation is different. But our situation wasn't even always like this. It was times we couldn't even think about a vacation, for real. But we figured it out together. We figured out what works for us. And people don't take that time. Let's have sex. Let's have sex. Let's have sex. And we don't even know if we want to be married or single. Let's have sex. But I'm giving you some pointers that may help you, this 7-7-7 rule. It may help some people and say, let's start dating, stuff like that. But women, don't give up nothing until after the wedding. Do not have sex with dudes until after the wedding. Guys, do not act right. And then, if you don't know how to handle the sex, then the guys end up getting somebody pregnant and this, that, and other. So it's, you're never going to have your cake and eat it too. That's why you got to figure out that relationship that you're in. Because the thing is, when you think you all cute, all this, that, and other, saying you ain't getting nothing of this, dudes go get it somewhere else. I'm telling you. Women, y'all do not stop women. Stop your man from having sex with other women. Y'all cannot stop it. That's why you got to have a good, strong relationship with your man, and the man have a good relationship with you, and you together have a good or great relationship in church. It's telling you. If a guy not fearing nobody and fearing God, you ain't got nothing, for real. Nothing, absolutely nothing. The reason I don't cheat, not because of my wife, not because she has a rule over me. I can cheat if I want to cheat. I don't cheat because of my relationship with God. That's the one reason, the only reason I don't cheat. It's nothing to do with my wife. Nothing. The only reason I don't cheat, I'm telling you, is because I'm in church, because I got a relationship with God. That's the only reason. I have no other reason not to cheat. Seriously. And women would cheat with you just for spite. In fact, just because you together with somebody, women would cheat. Women compete worse than men. Women hate to lose. If they can break up your marriage, they're going to break it up. They can have a kid outside, they're going to have the kid. Whatever to break you up, they're going to do it. Is that the person you want to be with? You see what I'm saying? So it exists. It exists. Sexuality is nothing. If you look at the Bible and you understand that, right? Sodom and Gomorrah, what happened? People were loving everybody. They had incest, they had adultery, they had serving other gods, they had homosexuality, men with men, women with women. And then you go back to the flood where they Noah's Ark time, all the same thing happened then, and then the same thing happened today. Today is more in the church than ever before. Like, wow. And so it's a lot of things going on. You got to know what you're doing. I'm being totally honest. Ask me questions, whatever, but I'm being honest. I'm faithful now because of my relationship with God, for real. Not my wife, but God. Because my wife can't stop me from cheating. I fear God. The reason I don't cheat, I want to be a good pastor because of that. And so I'm just putting it out there. And a lot of guys, if you ask them honestly, they'll tell you, I'm faithful because of my relationship to God. Really. When women think y'all got power to stop a man from cheating, y'all can't stop a man. Man leave you, he with 5 other women, just like that. Boom. Just like that. And if the dude got money, he with 50 other women. And y'all think y'all doing something. Using your sex parts, your organs, your vagina, whatever, right, as a weapon against your relationship doesn't secure your man. I guarantee you he gonna cheat on you. I guarantee it. Don't use your body as a weapon. You want the love of the relationship to bring you things, to bring y'all closer together. You don't want your body, oh, look what I got. Look at all these other women. All you think you're divas, think y'all good, this, that, and other. No, doesn't work like that. And then when you lose, you don't want to be losing by yourself. So you try to mess up other relationships, right? So I covered a lot tonight, and we got to understand why we doing what we doing. We got to understand how to keep, intimacy and strategize to keep that in the relationship, to keep that man interested in you. That's why women make up their face, they wear the earrings, they did that. Find out what the dude like. Because if a guy telling you he like the long eyelashes and like your face caked up with makeup, that might not be the guy for you. You want a guy to accept you as you are. If you got to wear short shorts and net stockings and this, that, and other, and show everything you got in your cleavage, dude ain't interested in you. And if you think he is, I'm telling you, he's not. You just somebody he show off. Everybody can see I got this woman, but the other girls know he with me too. They not going to tell you he with you as well. Women ain't going to mess up their game, especially if you're handling your business. I lived a life, so I'm telling you, I lived a life. I'm speaking from experience. Women don't tell you when you it all in their face and that they sleeping with your man. They ain't gonna tell you that. Hey, how you doing, girl? Like the girl that wanted to talk to me at Costco's, she told my wife when she saw my wife, she's asked me if I wanted a side piece at first, right? And then she told my wife, "You so beautiful, you are so gorgeous," and she just tried to talk to me. I'm telling you, and that's why I told women I've been busting the game. Women would betray another woman in a heartbeat, especially for the guy they want. They will betray you and you will never know it. Guys do the same thing. A lot of times, the best friend messing with your woman, your best friend. Dudes best friend messing with their wives and their girls. And you got to have boundaries in the relationship so you know what you're doing. And don't get mad. If a girl want to leave you for somebody else, let her go. I don't believe in fighting when over a woman. If my wife come and tell me I want to be with somebody else, I ain't got no problem. None. Absolutely zero. Because either I know I got what I got or I don't. You don't get the 32 years of trusting somebody and then say, oh my God. I mean, it can happen, but I have no hard feelings because I'm comfortable in who I am and what I bring to the table. If someone can steal my wife from me and she wants to move on, to God be the glory. I'm serious. I've always been this way, and so I'm in this to be committed, and I've never been committed until now in my life, and so I'm just bringing it like that. All right, I'm keeping it real, and I'm like that. I'm the type of guy. I'm either all in or none. All right, so I guess I can answer a few questions. and we could go from there until we pick up on this again. Still got more to say, so we pick up some more. So it's a lot. It's a lot because you got to decide what you want, and you got to decide, is he worth it? Is he worth it? Stop having a first time with somebody that you may not have a future with, or somebody that would turn their back on you, and you don't even know it. We have sex too fast, for real. What advice would you give to a divorced woman that don't want to marry again? Well, I see that all the time. I do, and a lot of guys say that too. And I meet people that's been married, but funny statistics is out there. It's like a lot of married women that's been cheated on end up going to another married man. Not everybody, but they end up going to another married, and they're cheating with a married man. That's a weird statistic, but it's true. And so that's a lot. It's a high percentage. And the thing is, a lot of people say they don't want to get married again. And the thing is, I think that's not true. I think because of a bad experience, we say that. I got married the first time. I thought it was the only time I was ever going to be married, even though I wasn't right. I still thought it was the only time I was going to be married. And and after that relationship, I realized I didn't have the best of the best. I realized that I made choices. All my choices I made to get married the first time was wrong. And then I was young, dumb, immature, that kind of stuff. So I don't believe that you wouldn't marry again. I think if the right opportunity come along, you would. A lot of times people don't get married if they get too old. When they start getting older, they may give up on the hope of being married again. But for the most part, I think you would if the circumstance is right. A lot of times we take the when we leave a relationship. I love this thing called the scapegoat. We take the first person out of that bad relationship and we cling home to them. And the thing is, that's a bad choice. That's a bad choice to take the first person because you need time to heal from that previous relationship. So you can, once you're healed, then you say, you know what, I can do this again. Oh, somebody gave me thumbs up. So I can heal from this. So I think that's the problem. Because I met so many young people and said, I'm never getting married. I'm not getting married till I get this age. And the dude came along, and they jumped and got married. I said, I thought you was gonna wait. But you got to take time to heal. If you don't do that, then you're going to be insecure and scared and just believe that everybody that you meet is going to treat you the way you were in that previous relationship. And a lot of times we you got to understand why we get married anyway, because it's so many reasons. Some people get married just to leave the house, and they had this one analogy, like women. If they're in an abusive home and incest or rape or whatever inside their home, and they're say they're 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, women's bodies start maturing faster. Their breasts get bigger. The pubic, they go through pubic hair a whole lot faster. So when they get out there, because that's a survival mechanism, your brain turns on with your different glands and pushes your body out there to do that. But the thing is, your body's there, but your mind's not. And so when you jump in a relationship, and you're like, oh my God, I think I'm ready for it because my body says I got it, but my mind says I don't. And so until you heal, you're going to mess up every relationship you get into until you get healed. Seriously, every relationship is not going to work out. And sometimes we blame the other person, is really us because we never healed. And so I'm jumping that at you. So I think you should get healed because if you've been divorced, because it's a lot of traumatic things that possibly could happen, and then the insecurities and vulnerabilities and low self-esteem. I mean, it's just a lot to go into that. God designed us for marriage, and He designed woman for man. And so when people like, I want to be this and that, well, you should have been a nun, and that they not even happy because some of them are homosexuals and some of them cheat on the side. So I mean, just like the priests, I'm like, you know, it's somebody for everybody, and some people would never get anyone. But you got to decide when you say I don't want marriage or I don't want what I had before. And so you got to make up your mind, what do you really want? But I've seen that, and a lot of people that say with this question here, um, it's not been true. All right. What happens to marriages in today's societies? Marriage in the 50s, 60s, 70s, they lasted. What changed? Well, life changed. You know, marriage was better back then. Thing is, husbands were cheating. Husbands were I'm laughing. Husbands were cheating a lot more back in the day. And the thing is, it was never discussed. It was always in the closet. Sometimes, and I'm joking. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but it's the milkman, the madman, the mailman. Milk used to be delivered. They got Kroger stores and Kroger trucks and stuff. But dude, delivery guys used to be tapping into somebody's wife or their woman, and people were cheating, but they just never got caught, and the people didn't tell. And so I was a part of that, for somebody else when I was a kid, I hate to say this, but my mom was dating a married man that she had a kid with, and so it was just a lot of things not um, um, exposed like it is today. You got social media, so it's easy to expose things, and people want to, become famous overnight. So they expose it, let you know what's going on. Social media they have exposed a lot, but the thing is, if you look back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, right, church was paramount in people's families, where the pastor used to come to the house. He wasn't sleeping with the wife and stuff and eat dinner and this, that, and the other. People were sitting down having family dinners. There was no telephones, AI, and all sorts of stuff at the dinner table. And so families were closer together. They had Sunday dinner. They had this. And so the value of marriage was together. The ideal of the devil is to break up, the family structure. So women are having babies, they get on welfare. So welfare has become that single mom's husband. And she like, she tell that dude, get out of my life. I'm getting welfare. So now you on a fixed income and you'll never get ahead by not pushing forward on marriage the way it's supposed to be. So it's a lot to go with that. Social economically, all the different responses of that goes into that question. But marriage was so much better back then. It was. It was stronger. And the infidelity wasn't like it is today. It was few and far between, but it was happening a lot. Was it the OJ's Commodores? They made a song said, Papa was a rolling stone, where he laid his hat was home. And so that's kind of like was the story. Because I have a half-breed sister out there. And back in the day when they was, my dad, it was in the, I want to say 60s, 70s, where he got somebody pregnant and you couldn't be with a white woman. And but I have a half-breed, I shouldn't say half, whatever, white or mixed sister out there, where, it wasn't exposed. But times were better back then. Families were close together. Children respected their parents. I mean, that's what changed. All right. And they stopped going to church. Seriously. That's what happened. Kids don't even, you got kids raising kids. Kids don't even send their kids to church. Back in the day, parents used to send their kids to church. They don't even do that now. The kids don't go to church. They don't go to church. And really, if you put God back into relationships and families, they would turn a whole lot better. Look at my life. Look at my relationship. And the difference is we both are in church. That's the only difference. I'll tell you, if I was not in church, I would be cheating on my wife today. Seriously. I said, if I was not in church today, if I was not just the pastor, but in church, I would not be honest. I'm telling you, that was a weakness for me, big time. And so what keeps me honest to my wife is my relationship with God, for real. I got to be honest. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. All right. In the old days, couples jumped across the broom. Yeah, that's an African tradition. It says, and they were married. Do you believe that marriage was real? Yeah. It was. It was. And the thing is, marriage is really. We have laws now, but the I hate to say this, but as soon as two people come together legally, they're married, and we don't really live by that here in America. But some countries, if you come together, you sleep with them, you're married, and biblically, that's how it was. And when Isaac knew Rebecca, she went to his tent, and he knew her, and that was his wife. That's how it was. And so today we have the law in, the Bible said obey the lands of law, the laws of land. And so we have a legal paper to say you're married. But really, we call it common law, this, that, and other. Legally, you're married, but by the eyes of the law, because we have laws in the United States, it's not justified of that. So you have to have a marriage certificate, and so I'm just telling you how it is. But in some countries, you don't need a marriage certificate. All right, you just come together and you're there. But jumping the broom, yeah, that was big back in the day, back in the slave time. You go to your master, the guy go to the master and say, I want her to be my wife, and ask the master to get permission, and boom, that's his wife. But sometimes that guy had to share his bride with the master, so that's another story. Well, it's amazing how much stuff I know. Wow. All right, last question. This is what age should parents talk to children about sex? I think as young as 10, and so in fifth grade in school, they go and talk about it, and so as young as 10, yeah. And so because they need to know, and probably 8, because you gotta let kids know if they get touched inappropriately, because we live in a different time. And kids are smarter than you think. They not like we were growing up. We were naive. Teachers wasn't really bothering the kids back then. Guys wasn't, or girls wasn't really getting snatched off the street and raped and stuff. It was happening, but not in the numbers that there are today. And so like every I want to say every 6-7 seconds somebody getting raped and stuff. It wasn't like that, back as back in the day. But I think young, once the kid understands what their private parts are, I think you should start talking to them about sex and let them know, if they get touched inappropriately, that they need to tell you this, that, and another. Because we got some pedophiles out there. I mean, it's just happening. I mean, look at that. They lowered the age to 9 for people to get married. That ain't nothing but pedophiles on display, So it is what it is. But yeah, talk to them early as they know when they should understand their private parts and your private parts. So because kids are far advanced, and so for the animal kingdom, it's not like that. It's just they just roll with it. But we have to take precautions. You can't even let your kids spend the night at your friend's house anymore. It's really bad. We're just living at a bad time. And so understand the signs of the time. It is what it is. Great questions. Anything else? I think that's pretty much it. But I covered it. Like I said, I covered it live. I want to try to touch this again, because I want people to understand what they want, because we're fickle. We're fickle. We don't know what we want, and we got to figure it out. And God's a big portion of it. And and until you realize that, we're going to be stuck. You have to realize, that God's at the center of our lives and stuff. And so it is what it is. But here's our church flyer. Take a picture of it and hopefully come see us. I always say faith connect to the power words, bring forth the reality of God. I believe that wholeheartedly. That's kind of like one of my things I say on my podcast. I say it at church as well, because I want people to understand it's about faith. You got to believe in something, all right? And but that's our information right there. So like I said, take a picture and we go from there. But I really enjoy this. I hope you got something out of this. I hope I help some of the people that's, single, trying to search and stuff. And I'm telling you, I'm surprised more young people are out here because they don't know what they're doing. I tell people all the time, I say, I'm writing a book for women because women don't know what they're doing. You got all this power and do not know what you're doing, we got to figure that piece out, So I'm tired of, women getting abused in the short end of the stick. And then you think you know what you want and you don't. And you're confused and stuff like that, and you have all this power and you just letting things go. You can't let things go. We have to live and let live, and learn as we live to do better and make better choices. So, it is what it is. All right.
God, you taught me to trust you. You show me how to believe. You're the author and the finisher of what you started me. So I'm not gonna doubt it. I'm gonna hold on to peace. 'Cause if I had